My name is Tyler, and my patient today is Lizzie, and she is coming in to perform an Astrand steady-state submax cycle test. This test will give us an estimate of the patient's VO2 max, which is a measure of aerobic capacity and fitness, and it's a great way to help dose and prescribe future exercise. So, based off of the prior questionnaire for history of exercise, we found no cardiovascular risk factors or symptoms, so therefore she does not need medical clearance before performing this exercise test. A couple of things to note is before exercise we want to make sure that her resting heart rate is not above 120 or less than 50 beats per minute, or her systolic is above 200 or less than 100. Her baseline resting measure is 98/60 with a resting heart rate of 77. It is lower than 100, however, we know that she is a healthy, active individual, so therefore she does not need medical clearance for this test. So, the bike seat height was adjusted appropriately at about the level of her greater trochanter before getting her on there while she was standing next to the bike. She has been warming up at 25 watts for about 2 minutes now, and she's maintaining 50 RPMs, and this will be maintained throughout the course of the exercise test. So the baseline RPE scale for her on the computer, she said it was a 6 for resting, and so we are going to go from there. Her age-adjusted max heart rate is 192 with a submax range of 60 to 85%, being 115 to 163 beats per minute. And we will be increasing the watt intensity to 85 watts, which was determined by the ACSM guidelines for a conditioned female based on her answers to the exercise history questionnaire prior to the test. So we're going to go up to 85 watts here in about 15 seconds, and then we will perform the test for 6 minutes, and as long as you maintain a steady heart rate, you will be good to go, okay? Awesome, so we're going to jump it up here. Are you ready? You
Yes.
feeling okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So just maintain the 50 to 60 RPM. So I'm going to take her heart rate at the second, her heart rate, blood pressure, and RPE at the second minute, and we want the heart rate to fall within 60 to 85% of the submax range in order to see if we can continue the test. If we didn't get her up high enough for that, then we would go for another 6 minutes. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, awesome. About another 30 seconds here, and we'll take your first measurement.
Okay. So you are within submax range. You're at 124 for your heart rate. So now I'm going to check your blood pressure.
116/62. And based off of our scale here, what do you feel like your heart rate is right now? Yeah, your RPE.
12.
12. Awesome. Okay, so since you fell within the time frame here, we're going to continue on. We don't have to do another 6-minute test. So here in actually just about 30 seconds here, we're going to get your next heart rate RPE just to make sure you're in steady state. So it should be within 5 beats per minute for steady state. And we'll get your blood pressure again and your RPE. And then just to make sure that you're doing okay, we'll take another heart rate and RPE at minute 6.
Okay.
Okay, so if I can get your handy fan. So you can go ahead and relax. And let me do some calculation real quick. How are you feeling?
Good.
Okay, so you are within steady state. Your heart rate is 128 beats per minute. So now I'm going to go ahead and take your blood pressure again. Got 122/64. So now I'm going to have you look at your RPE again, and on a scale of 6 to 20, how hard are you working right now?
13 now.
13, awesome. 64. Okay, so now here in just a minute, we're going to take another heart rate to just make sure you're responding normally. So a contraindication for having to stop the exercise test is if her systolic was above 220 or decreased by 10, or we saw a decrease or a decrease in heart rate, or a diastolic pressure of above 110 or plus or minus 10 millimeters of mercury from the baseline. So now I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I need that for. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me just check. So I got 124. So it did decrease, but it's still within the steady state range. So she's still okay to finish this off here. So just as a last piece of information here, on a scale of 6 to 20, how hard are you working right now?
13.
Awesome. Okay, so she did reach steady state, and we did get her within her submax range. It was all done within the allotted time frame. So the patient will now cool down at the starting resistance of 25 watts for 3 minutes. I will then take her heart rate and blood pressure again, and we should see normals return close to baseline values. She's still working out a little bit, so it will be a little bit higher than resting, but we should see the return to baseline.